All right, let's do this. Guys, new video. Without your health, you have no goals. Think about it. When you're like sick or if you have some terminal illness, your goals become obsolete. Absolute. But that's what we're going to talk about in this video is how to maintain your health so that you don't have to give up on your goals. So that you can actually still achieve your goals. I want you guys I was watching this documentary. You guys know who Chris Williamson is? He did this video. He's a podcaster, has one of the top podcasts in the country, if not in the world. And he's interviewed some of the top minds. Goggins, Jocko, I believe, and probably Dispenza even. But he's got one of the top podcasts. Anyways, point is he did this video. He dropped this video where he announces that he's got some illness that's preventing him. He's got Lyme's disease, and he's alluding that he might have some other stuff going on with him too. And he's pretty much what he says in this video is that he's when you have a disease, all your goals become irrelevant. And I'm damn, it really hit me, So health, disease, obviously some disease is there are things that are not curable in society, right? But that's just the reality of it. We go through life knowing that these things could happen to us, illnesses, disease, but we always assume it's not going to happen to us. And the whole purpose of this video and this series that I'm doing is I did a train up for a no-gi competition, and I just finished last week. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you guys today about how that competition went and what I'm doing today after the competition to recover, take care of my health, so that you guys continue to take care of your health and you can accomplish all of your goals. That's the whole point, man. And when I say health, what is health, man? It's mental health. It's your physical health. So your ability to perform, your ability to get up and execute. But mental health is a big one, man. And if you guys didn't know, I was diagnosed with PTSD in the last couple months. And, I haven't really talked a lot about it because I don't want to put a ton of attention on that topic, but I'm feeling more called to talk about it. So I'm going to talk about it when I feel called to talk about it, And so the PTSD thing was a bit of a shocker because they basically told me that I'm going to have this for the rest of my life. It's not like I can get rid of it. I can work around it and I can make myself function a little bit better, but I'm not going to get rid of it. Who knows? Right? Anything is possible. I like to think that. But I also have to accept the reality of the situation, which is that I have this disorder that is impacting my life. I don't know what your situation is. Oh, let me fix that. There we go. We're good. I don't know what your situation is, what your health situation is. But we all have some shit going on with us, man. And it's really important that we take care of our mental, our physical health, so that way we can get the life experience that we want. And as we dive in, guys, that's one thing that I want to bring up first as we keep talking about this topic of goal setting and achievement, not quitting on yourself, continuing to push to the next level, is that your goals, man, are not there just for you to check a block and just achieve. Your goals should be there to give you the life experience that you want. You have a window of time on this planet. We all do. And in that window of time, you're going to get a certain experience. And honestly, all of our windows of time are not going to be the exact amount of time that we think that we're given. They're just not. Humans are not good at guessing timelines. Okay, we're really not when it comes to our goals. We can do it with like having a baby, and some things that are predictable. But when it comes to our individual lives and like our goals, we're not good at predicting timelines. We're really good at lying to ourselves that we're good at it, right? We think we have 10 years. We think we have 5 years. We think we have the weeks and days and months and this time in front of us. But all of that is an illusion. It's fake. It's made up inside of our mind, man. So anything could happen, I could go to the gym today and somebody could walk in and just shoot the place up, man. It could be crazy, who knows what could happen. But with that being said, like, while we can't predict like our timeline here on earth, and we can decide what we want our life experience to be and set goals that help us live that life experience. Listen, if your last 5 years, your last 10 years, if they look the same, man, okay, you need to really take a hard look at yourself and ask yourself if you're getting the life experience that you want. Now, the story is what's keeping you trapped. The story of why you got to keep doing things the way that you're doing and why you got to keep waiting to change your life. You do not have to wait, guys, to change your life. You can have everything that you want. It's just going to be uncomfortable. And if you can't handle discomfort, you're not going to go anywhere in life. So I'm going to go do this workout. And to recap a little bit on what's going on with the Desert Duels competition is that 2 weeks ago, I did a no-gi competition, jiu-jitsu. I competed, and we raised money to help support veterans' mental health. That was the whole purpose of it. So I had a rib injury going into the competition, which many of you guys know about, and then the competition was in Las Vegas, and they moved the venue, so at the last minute, it was at a casino, which for me is hell, guys. I don't know about you, but I don't do well in casinos. A casino is the opposite, the total polar. Like if there was a heaven and hell for Jeremiah Sullivan, casinos would be in that place of hell. It's hell for me, man. And the reason why is because you got the machines going off, you got people passed out, you got cigarette smoke all over the place, you got everything. Everywhere you walk in a casino, to me, feels like a motherfucking threat. I woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to get a cup of coffee because they didn't have a coffee maker in my room, which pissed me off. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? It's a casino though. It's just a bed there. It's like, you might as well. I don't even want to get into it, but it's like, I feel like I was, and it was like a nice casino. It was a four-star casino, man. It shouldn't have been like that. So anyways, the casino was nuts for me, because I go down there to get my coffee in the morning, and I got to go downstairs, and I got to go through the casino to get to the only open coffee place that exists. And as I walk down there's people sleeping in the casino, like the slot machine chairs. There's people, and I'm walking through everybody who's smoking cigarettes. I'm walking through people that are eating these donuts, and there's the smell of pizza. And I mean, trust me, I like that stuff, but I don't want to smell it at 4 o'clock in the morning mixed in with all the other grimy stuff, man. And then on top of that, it's like, there's people yelling, there's loud music, and my whole world just is like, first off, I told you guys I have PTSD. So if I'm around like a lot, I'm hyper vigilant. That's one of the things that I have is like, I'm hyper vigilant. I'm in a state of, I carry a state of chronic stress and hypervigilance. And so I walk down there and I'm just like, it's like being overstimulated. It's like being in the club after you've already done like thrown up and pissed on yourself, and now you're just sitting there and you just hear the chaos. Well, for me, the experience is that I felt like I was in a gunfight going through that casino, man. I felt like everybody's shooting at me, and I gotta like get behind cover, and I want to deploy a grenade and just blow everybody up and get the hell out of there. But it was stressful, like, to say the least, right? So, anyways, I did the competition. I won the competition, and I can tell you guys a little bit about that, what that experience was like. I went against a very tough opponent, and then I got back last week, and I freaking flatlined. I freaking crashed out. Jet lag. Everybody experiences jet lag, but for myself, when I have like a social anxiety too. So, which means that even that casino experience, like if I'm just around a couple of people, I start to feel like super tense and anxious. I don't know what to do with my hands. I feel overwhelmed, and I have to really talk myself down in those type of situations. I have to talk myself into relaxing because I'll be all tense and shit. So it's exhausting, man. And when I get back, when I got back from the trip, I had a huge adrenaline dump, and I go through all the symptoms of like depression. So I'm like, you know, I'm just completely numb, emotionally numb. If things that normally like excite me, like the gym and training and my routine, they just feel flat and boring, and I don't get any enjoyment from them. And it takes me a while to recover from all this type of stuff. Last week, it took me all of last week to get to this state. That's one of the reasons why I didn't do the video. I wanted to let myself go through the recovery. I've pushed through before. I've pushed through plenty of times when I had those crashes, and there's certain things that I won't push through, and there's certain things I will push through. When it comes to, and this is a good talking point for recovery for you guys. When it comes to your recovery, there are things that you need to push through. When it comes to recovering and taking care of your mental health and being mentally tough, and when it comes to when it comes to mental health, physical health, when it comes to mental toughness, quitting and stopping is not the solution. It's not. Like just saying, fuck it, I'm just going to lay in bed for a week. That is not the way to handle recovery after you're feeling mentally strained and mentally fatigued. Like taking time off is not the way to do it, man. That's the wrong mentality, in my opinion. Okay? What taking time off means is when you check out and you go off the rails on all your commitments. The things that typically make you feel good and are good for your health, like maybe the gym or walking, getting outside, these simple fitness and health tasks. Like when you take time off, a lot of people take time off of everything, the bad and the good. They take time off of all the good things that help them, and that's not the way to do it. Okay, people think that like going on, like it's like when people go on vacation. They go on vacation, they want some downtime, and they get there, and then they party and they drink, and they come back from the vacation completely exhausted. And they're like, well, you took time off of all the things that make you feel good, man. You drank, you didn't follow any type of schedule, you were impulsive, and you think that that's like fun because it's less restrictive, but like it exhausts you. So there's things that I do personally that help me recover without pushing myself. Okay, so that's the theme of this video, is that even this week I'm not pushing. I'm consolidating, I'm recovering, I'm recuperating. And what that looked like last week was I didn't do the video last week because that's not something that I knew I needed to do. I knew I needed to go to the gym. I went to the gym once a day. I gave myself a little bit extra sleep. I bumped up my wake up time from 3 to 4 o'clock a.m. I tried to go to bed earlier than normal, went to bed, I think most nights around 9. There's a couple nights where it did push to 10, but that's another issue with like my mental health, is that I'll be wired but tired. But anyways, so when it comes to your guys', the thing I want to hit in this segment before I go into the gym is that for you need a recovery week. if you're dealing with burnout, if you're dealing with fatigue, if you're dealing with after you did a big push, a big competition, having a recovery week or process is very, very important for your mental and physical health. Trying to just perform like you did during the weeks prior to the competition or the event, trying to perform like you did when you were trying to achieve the goal is very difficult after you've gone through the test, whatever that is. For me, it was the jiu-jitsu competition or the competition. So whenever you've accomplished the goal, if you keep trying to push after you've accomplished the goal, it's going to be very difficult. You need to decompress. It's like a diver. When a diver goes and dives, they go underwater and they're down there for a long time, like a scuba diver. And when they come up, you have to go slow. You have to go at a certain rate. You can't go too fast or you'll black out, right? And when you, same thing with free diving. If you don't do it with oxygen tanks, you just do it, solo, like just by yourself or whatever. And if you come up too fast, you'll black out. And then also when you get to shore, you need some time to recalibrate to the shore to land. I don't know if you guys ever dove before, but you'll walk off. If you've ever dove, I've done free diving before, and you get off the land or off the boat and you're kind of like wobbly. It takes you a while to kind of ground yourself. You need to decompress after a competition, after a big goal. And I'll talk you guys through how I go about that in this video. I'll keep talking and sharing. Okay. So biggest thing, point number one, is to have a recovery plan. When it comes to achieving your goal and making sure that you maintain your health, what's your recovery plan? Is it just time off? Because time off does not equal recovery. Intentional recovery equals recovery. All right, we'll see you guys in the gym. Last week, I focused on my minimum commitments. The specifics are that I brought my workouts down from 2 to 3 to 1 workout a day, and then my sleep brought that up an extra hour a night. The whole purpose of this week is to enjoy myself. I want to enjoy the work that I'm doing. And if I take too much time off, I end up never wanting to come back. So if I just stay on top of the habits, the enjoyment comes back. All right. Now the competition, how did that go? The guy that I went against was the guy that I did the no-gi competition against. He was an all-American wrestler. He was a pro fighter back in 2015. And so he's very experienced, very accomplished. And I ended up beating him 7-0. So I won by points. I did not get the submission, which I beat myself up for. But it was a very dominant performance. Like I did very well. And when it comes to like winning, right? I find that one of the parts, recovery shouldn't just happen when you lose. It should happen when you win as well. And what I notice about recovery when you win is that if you let yourself get too high on the win, you crash harder during the recovery. You come down harder. So when I won, I didn't let myself get too excited that I won. I like to keep my emotions regulated, which means not getting maxed out at 10 out of 10. So that's point number 2. Is part of your recovery plan, guys, is that treat your wins like your losses, Let yourself, because when you lose, you really dissect it, right? And you try to figure out what went wrong. And I think both situations, your wins and your losses, should be treated the same. They should be treated as another day. You should dissect them, figure out, pat yourself on the back for both of them, and analyze where you went right, where you went wrong. Round 2. So I hit the sauna, already got out, cooled off, coming back in for second round. the message and the so a lot of you guys will mess up with your recovery because you'll just try to push through when you shouldn't push through, and you'll be running a business, going to work, whatever it is, and you'll be pursuing a passion project, and you'll try to push through, and then you'll just crash. You'll be building the business, and then you'll just be like blacking out at work, working on the business. This happened to me when I was in ROTC. I would go in, I'd be pushing myself so hard, and I would go in to the student like little headquarters room for military students, and I would pass out on the couch in between classes, and I would just be so smoked, man. And it was because I never learned how to throttle myself down and recover. And a lot of my lack of recovery over the years has come from a inability to rest, man, a lack of confidence. So you guys, remember this shit. It takes confidence to rest. All right. Now, whether you're at work, sleeping, or whether you're at home sleeping, the place you getting the same amount of work done. Now, Elon Musk one time, like his presence, I think it was with SpaceX, where he was like, I can't remember if it was SpaceX or Tesla, but he was like basically sleeping at the headquarters during this time where he was trying to push and achieve some goals. And he was doing that to make a statement and show everybody that he was sacrificing for the betterment of the company. So there's value in putting yourself in a place to shape a perception and to make a statement. But when you're making a bad statement and you're shaping a negative perception of yourself, when you basically take some time off, you leave for a week, you come back, and then you're at work burnt out and you're crashing and everybody sees you crash to work. That doesn't look good at all. You might think in your head that it's better than the alternative of staying home, but no, you're better off just staying home. And the real reason why you don't do that is because you have a lack of confidence. So I was interviewing a world-class fighter one time, MMA fighter. It was actually Chandler, so Michael Chandler. And he told me this. He said it takes confidence to rest. And ever since then, this was years ago that he told me that, I doubled down on my recovery. And, I'm big into pushing myself and challenging myself. But when he said that, I realized that when I need days where I sauna like this. I come in here and I sauna. We all need days where we sauna. You take that day off of work. You don't need to make a lifestyle out of it. And I have to personally be careful, letting a day off turn into just complete laziness and lethargy. So you have to be disciplined with your rest. But you got to ask yourself, man, like, are you not resting because you lack the confidence to rest? Is that the issue? Because that's a problem, man. You should be, if you lack the confidence to rest, that means that you didn't do the work that you really needed to do before the rest took over. Right? Like if you can really rest and recover and feel at peace when you know that you've done all the work required. When everything is like you've done the most that you can. It's like walking out to a cage fight. You do all the work during the training camp, and then you walk out the last day. You're not going to go train and do more. You're not going to push yourself even harder. You have to just trust that you did all the work and then walk out to that cage and go compete. And if you can't rest in that downtime, I think you're fucked, man, personally. Like, I'm obviously not an elite level fighter, but I have an elite level military record. And, when I was wrestling in high school, one of the things that we used to do was we would completely relax and rest in between matches. We would put on slippers or sandals, and we would just lay around in the bleachers and just totally check out that we were even in a competition. And that allowed our body to totally decompress. And when we came back for the next match, we were rejuvenated. So it takes confidence to rest. And the way that resting really, the way it works, I want to really sink in for you guys, is think of a black zone, a gray zone, and a white zone. A Venn diagram. So 3 circles, white and black overlapping each other with gray in the middle. So the gray space in the middle is where you don't fully decompress. The black space is where you're completely focused and you're working hard. Think of it like you're doing sprints, right? You're doing sprints, that's the black zone. Gray is when you're in between sets. You're not quite resting into the white. White was like at home in your cold plunge or in your bed, whatever. And then the gray is in between the sets and reps of your intervals. Well, in your business and in your life, like where a lot of people get burnout and fatigue is they don't completely go into the resting zone. They don't go into the white zone. They don't take that time off. They stay in the gray. And that keeps you, imagine spending your whole life preparing for your next interval. Imagine spending your whole life being on that track, that 400-meter track, going in circles and pushing yourself as hard as you can. And then in the 90 seconds that you have for resting in between each of the intervals, you're anticipating the next interval, right? Imagine being in that anticipation state for days and weeks and months and years. I experienced that on my last deployment in 2019 or 18. We had a quick response force mission, which means we had to be ready to deploy in case of an emergency while we were in Afghanistan. So we were on edge all the time. If friendly forces got in contact, we were on the edge. So we were constantly in this state of anticipation. And I will tell you, nothing creates burnout more than anticipating the work that's required. The work that you're doing is not what's causing the burnout. It's the inability to rest and recover after you've done the work, to completely shut off, to disconnect. By the way, doom scrolling on social media is not disconnecting. You might think of it as leisure, but it's not. Meditation is like probably the biggest thing that you can do to get into that complete, or sleep. It's meditation and sleep in the white. And then any type of activity, cognitive activity that requires some level of thinking or stress. Like if you just pick up your phone, your body actually you'll notice your heart rate changes. Okay, you can measure this. They've measured it. There's statistics on this, where if you pick up your cell phone and you just look at it or even just hold it close to you, your heart rate starts increasing. It starts stressing you out. So I'm about wrapped up here in the sauna, but the last message I wanted to give you guys in this segment is that it takes confidence to rest. And you need to ask yourself, are you in the white? Are you in the black? Or are you in the gray? So part of our recovery needs to be operating in the white. It has been a long time since I've had to deal with any sort of 9 to 5 traffic. I forgot what this is like. I'm driving home from the gym right now and there's traffic, and my house is only 10 miles from the gym, but it's taking me 30 minutes to get home between the rain and the traffic. I forgot what this was like. When I was in the military, I would wake up and headed to work around 5 a.m. or something like that, and it would be the same type of thing. You would get to the installation gate, the main security. As you approach every military base, there's the gate outside. One of the duty stations I had was Schofield Barracks, and in Hawaii. So the entrance going into Schofield Barracks in Hawaii was basically just 2 lanes, and if I remember right, it was just one entrance, maybe 2 entrances going into the base. This base had a lot of soldiers going to it, and everybody was trying to be there at the same time. Start PT at 6:30 a.m. So from 5 to 6:30 to 7 a.m. in the morning, the 3 miles outside of the base would be just just stacked with traffic, maybe further than that, maybe closer to 4 miles. And it would take you forever to get through that traffic, and you would be just bumper to bumper for the shortest amount of distance, and it was so annoying. And it was either you leave at 5 in the morning to you either get there at the same time as everybody else, or you had to leave 30 minutes early, and if you left at 4:30 in the morning, you would end up getting to the base an hour and a half before PT started. You'd get there by 5 before the traffic hit, and PT started at 6:30. So it was which one do you want to do? Do you want to waste 90 minutes by getting there early, or do you want to sit in traffic? Oh man, it was horrible. But all right, the last part of this video, guys, is the question: when should you recover, and what's next? What's next for Jeremiah with now that the no-gi competition is over? And when should you recover, and when should you push through? So to answer the question of when should you push through and when should you recover, I think it's very, very important that every single one of you challenge yourself and find your limits. I did this Afghanistan deployment, and one time I had to be in work at basically if I remember right, it was Yeah, it was 8 a.m. I had to be there 7 or 8 a.m. And I worked in a tactical operations center at headquarters. And my boss, I had an American boss, but we worked under NATO. So we had a bunch of partner forces with us, right? Adjacent partner forces, allies. And I worked like a mother, just a workhorse during that deployment. I mean, I would start at 7 or 8 in the morning and I would go till midnight. And I would eat at my desk. I would take an hour break to go get a workout in. Like, I would eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner either at my desk, or I would just wolf it down within 10 minutes and I would be back working, and I would work till midnight. I would step away to go work out at the gym, and then I would be back in my place of duty, right behind my computer. And I did that every day, and there's no weekends when you're deployed. You work 7 days a week. So during this time period, I remember I also had physical goals. Oops, my camera was dipping. I also had physical goals during this time period. So I'm working these crazy hours. I mean, sometimes I got off at like 10 p.m. The goal was to do a 12-hour shift, but I ended up always doing like 16, 17, whatever, crazy hours. So I decided one time, like while I was there, I was really going to push myself and not only perform at work, but I was going to perform physically and build myself up and do some start stacking up some mileage. Like, I was trying to accumulate like 50 miles of running in a week, and I ended up running a marathon during that deployment. So I did this marathon train up, and my goal was to do my marathon and then go into work for a full shift, 12, 16 hours, or whatever it ended up being. And my goal was, I want to see if I can go do a full marathon and then do a full day of work. Like, that sounded like a cool challenge to me. Imagine I got to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to stop at midnight. So if I'm going to run a marathon, that means I need to block off about 4 hours for my warm up, my cool down, the run. So I got to get up early, man. I got to get up at like 2 in the morning, start by 3, and if everything lines up well, finish up that marathon and be back at work, sitting at my desk, dropping bombs on bad guys or whatever we were doing at the time, And now, my job at that time wasn't dropping bombs on bad guys. It was just basically planning for Afghan and U.S. missions, like logistics missions. Without going into detail, I'll just keep telling the story. So I was a planning officer, and so it was a lot of computer work at the time. And I remember I was also like, I'm also going to see how little I can sleep and how hard I can push myself during this train up. So I'm like, let me see how many days in a row I can go with 4 hours of sleep, training for my marathon, and putting in a full day of work. And I'm like, let me see what happens. And so I would do this, and after I got to about day 6, I would be falling asleep at my computer, and people would like start talking to me, and they'd be asking me like, what the hell is going on? And I would just tell them, man. I would tell them like what I was doing, and they thought I was crazy. But I learned a lot about myself during training for that marathon and working while deployed and sleep depriving myself. Was it healthy? No. But, I learned how mentally tough I was. I learned what my true potential was. I learned how much of a gas tank I had. And I actually did the marathon and then went into work and did a full day of military work. So I accomplished my goal, and it was tough, man. It was very, very tough to do that. But I remember the confidence that I had afterwards. I ran a full marathon, and then I went into work. I did over 12 hours of work, just straight behind the computer, and didn't nap in the middle of the day. I just executed, and I got a little bit sleepy here and there, and I drank some caffeine or whatever. But I remember that feeling so good afterwards. Moral of the story is with that is if I never would have pushed myself during that deployment, you're gonna quit on yourself way earlier than your potential. So if you constantly tell yourself you need to recover all the time, dude, you're always gonna feel like you need to recover. Like Jesus, you don't always need another recovery day. Like, this idea can be toxic, dude. This idea of I need more recovery time. It can be more. It's toxic, dude, because it becomes a belief system that you always need more time and you always need more rest and that you're always tired and you're always fatigued, and like, Jesus, man. Now, there are some cases where you have something underlying, you have an underlying health issue, and the reason you're fatigued and you're tired is because you're not addressing the health issue. So, you know, there's no straight answer with when you should recover and when you should rest. It's up to you, man. If you're looking to other people for whether or not you should recover or rest, you're on the wrong path. You don't need anybody else's validation. You don't need anybody else's approval to take an off day. You don't need Jeremiah to say it. You don't need David Goggins to say it. You don't need anybody to say that you should rest or that you should push through. It's up to you to get real damn honest with yourself and figure out if you need to challenge yourself right now or if you need to put a plan into place to get some recovery time in. And everything is seasonal in life. So there's seasons for recovery, there's seasons for challenging yourself, and you know, that's for you to figure out. It's not for me to just come in here and tell you. You know deep down what you need to be doing, you know? So that's what I would say is, you know, my job is not to tell you what to do, is to tell you where to look. And I would be journaling about it. I would wake up in the morning and I would journal about it, and I would seek for brutal honesty within myself, and I would find the answer, and I would put a plan in place, and I would tell everybody else to. I'll tell you, man. I don't even like to talk about like success. You know, I hate that success this and success that. But I will tell you this one thing when it comes to quote unquote like success. If you have the one key trait I think successful people have, is the ability to tune out every mother on the planet and not give a shit. That is the number one key to success. Tune out and do the work. That's it. Whatever needs to be done, they do it. Everything else is noise, distraction. So, what's next for Jeremiah Sullivan now that the no-gi competition is over? Well, for me, I'm spending this week recovering. Today's gym session is complete. I'll get this video up for you guys so you can watch it, get the knowledge, get the wisdom, and hopefully improve your recovery, your recuperation, and your overall health. Because like I said at the beginning of the video, if you don't have health, you don't have goals. Maybe that's the name of the video. But so I'm really eager to compete more. So I already had some friends send me some jiu-jitsu competitions for the month of November and December. I might be doing some more there. As far as YouTube goes, I am going to take a step back from YouTube. And the reason why is because I'm not growing the way that I expect myself to grow at this level. So I need to take a hard look, and I'm going to reevaluate kind of, you know, my strategy for posting videos and figure out what's next. So you guys, if you haven't liked and subscribed, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do. So that way when I drop the next video, you guys get it and you don't miss it. And if you liked this video, just tell me what you liked down below. But yeah, I'm going to take some time off of YouTube. This is my announcement to you guys. And then also I got some more gi competitions coming up. So I'll be posting those on, no-gi competitions coming up. So I'll be posting those on Instagram. And I got an itch to do some MMA. So I want to do some MMA, but I got to focus on this 50-meter target right now, which is getting myself back to 100%. And that's what I have ahead of me. So you guys can look forward to that. I will be dropping, I'm sure I'll drop one more video before the end of the year, you know, at least. But anyways, it's been a great ride with you guys. And if you're watching this and you want me to get back onto YouTube faster, send me a DM on Instagram and tell me what you want to see, and let's talk about it. But I'll see you guys in the next video when it comes out. Conquer all.